like you're saying, Andre, people work out whatever kind of system makes sense to them individually as they're going through this. And a lot of people, like you're saying, it's comfortable and it works for them, agree with the majority view of reality. Because most people do, and that works. The people that didn't, that are resisting the ideological norms, the historical norms, the philosophical norms of the modern world, they will still have their philosophy. And if they're smart, like the person you were talking to seemingly wasn't, they are attacking the same way as she did. The definitions of words. That is beyond logic. No one really controls the definitions of words. And that is where conflicts come from. This word shouldn't mean that. It should mean this.
You know, Michael, I think you kind of touch a very interesting subject also, because the more I think about stuff like this, it's sort of a piecemeal approach, right? Because we're a little bit pragmatic, a little bit pluralistic, because, you know, we find some sort of consensus that we agree upon and we just run with it. Sometimes we're conformist, sometimes we're a little bit more rebellious and skeptical, but it's always like depends on the goals, I guess, and it also depends on like intensity of our conviction. So yeah, we do work out. I completely agree with it. We do work out the names of different phenomena. But it does have to have some sort of. This is why I think that question about justified true belief is such an important question in epistemology. It's because we're trying to figure out, like, what is that, you know, the good mechanics of figuring out, like, how do we agree on something? How do we all, find the same type of standard or blueprint by which we can identify the truthful interpretation of phenomena or not. And it's almost a lost cause to a certain extent, because, as you said, you know, things change, but they change because we find new dimensions or new information about each phenomenon.
Right. I mean, like, we want our understandings to be stable and true and unchanging, but they're not. We created them and we need to recreate them regularly. And the resistance, that's people that have certain essential arguments as to the history of things. Like, let's say the history of America. Was it a revolution? Or let's say the Armenian genocide. Was it a police action? Right? Any term you apply, can be reframed, recontextualized, and we are inviting it. That's why we made the word, to reinvent and recontextualize. So the words are like totems, they're symbols, and the meanings shift underneath them.
And there's one thing I want to add to that, and it's something as simple as the word the. Two people can be saying the something, and they can be talking about two completely different things, and the assumes that they're both talking about the same thing. In and of itself, that word alone can cause an argument, because A, used in place of the, can assume more than one possibility of the same concept, and in that, most cases, people are talking about multiple possibilities of the same concept.
Yeah, Mixed, walk me through the America, was it a revolution thing?
Was it a revolution, or was it a renegade militant terrorist act against their king?
Definitely the second one.
And by the way, if you ask a Brit, they don't give a shit about 1776. They don't think of it as a revolution. They are recontextualizing because they have maintained their power. They never had to submit to America's way of looking at things, and they may never.
And that's why they're leftists.
Were you in the, Simon, you definitely were in the room when we were talking to this like neo-monarchist, this like Christian.
Oh yeah, the Christian fascist.
Marvin, you would have freaking loved it. So his most fundamental premise was that, you know, the founding fathers got it wrong. To begin with, they should have never rebelled against monarchy. They, you know, like that whole thing about individualism, that's the whole thing is wrong. Like you need to submit to authority. That authority needs to be Christian, and those are the only people who can make any kind of informed decision.
But he loves America.
Yeah.
But he loves America.
Who is this?
Only Christian men.
No one knows who it was. It doesn't matter.